It's Figma time! Hello and welcome to another figure review. Today we're going to have a look at the Figma number 610. It's NH-02. From the illustration series Hito Kaiki, published by online illustrator Neko. We've got the second character of this series. We already got NH-1, obviously. And this one is a lot of a similar design, similar looks and whatnot, and feels a lot more like a repaint. Even though there are new parts and pieces, I still am invested in the designs of Neko. I've been a big fan of the False Lana lineup. All of these videos you can find on my channel if you want to see more of that. But let's have a look at NH-02 first. Size of the figure, she stands about 15 centimeters to the top of the head. One of the a little bit more larger Figmas, which means we are about 6 inches tall. Size comparisons.
Here's Jolter, the SH Figure Arts Son Goku, NH-01, Falslanda Hemet Neffel, and Darkseid.
Overall look in detail. First and foremost, she does stand on her own, thanks to the ribbon in the back helps her stand. And the vibe I'm getting is just like from the previous release. It's the what I call it, the battle maid, because like they have the whole maid aesthetic, but you also have like a little bit of weaponry, like a big staff, and obviously something that looks like robot legs. And the colors of it are very simple. You have like white, black, a little bit of gold, and some tiny parts of blue going on all throughout it. But I think what is really nicely executed with the color is how the blue parts really stand out, and it makes it different. And I guess every NH character maybe has like its own color. I'm not really sure about that. That's just my own interpretation of it. First and foremost, you have like the kind of doll face, very neutral looking, kind of dead in the eyes, but still charming with it. Head sculpt with the hair in general is very different from the previous one, and I like it. It's like a dark, kind of, well, it's more like black, but a little bit maybe dark blue. Also have the black headdress, and then the chest part has some nice boa, and I love the detail on here. Nicely molded, and the white also, it does give me a little bit of a blue. Like there is maybe some blue shading on it. Kind of hard to tell. Really with the lighting it looks a lot different than when I first took it out of the packaging. Not really sure if it is shading, but as you can tell, you know, you just go side to side. There's some hints of blue here and there. We also have the see-through plastic on the shoulders, which does say NH-02, a little bit of gold on there. And you have the same see-through plastic on the other side without the logo. Also, we do have some more blue on the back and the giant ribbon, which is articulated, which is really nice. As we move down to the hands, there we see, as I'll call it, the robot parts. You have like gold in the palm of the hand, and then just the black, matte black on the other half. Have some tiny gold buttons and some more shiny black lining with the blue also on that side. And we have some more detail in the dress, which I really would have liked if they would have painted that in gold, just like with the lower half of it. But they didn't do that with the previous release also. Also had some details in the dress. I guess it's to keep it simple and not to stand out. As I'm saying, you know, like the top part, you just like, oh, it's like a maid, and then you look at the legs, and then you go like, wow, that's different. Back to the ribbons real quick. I don't like the hinges over here. Just like with the big hinges in the elbows. Really would have liked for them to do something else. It looks kind of weird as it's hollowed out. If you move it up though, it gives it a lot better look. It looks more completed. You know, it's not as distracting and it's not as gappy as it is like that. I'm not saying gappy, but you know, they hollowed it out over there, so you can move it up obviously, but just with the arm straightened out, it does give it a little bit of a weird vibe. But moving down to it's pantsu time. That's not really pantsu. Well, kinda, but it's just like the black pantsu, which is supposed to round out the leg part. I love the gold detail on there. This is molded on it. It's not just painted. You can see there's some height to it, and then you also have like the knee joints also look good for in the same gold color, and we have some more detail in the back. Just a small line work. And then we do have the high heels with some more gold, and this one actually has shoes. Like the previous version just kind of like had the lot more glossy legs with the feet, but here we have some more shoe detail painted on there, also very nicely painted for like small detail. There's barely any bleeding, and paint wise this one really shines. You know, it's simple, but you know, everything is painted and it looks good. For articulation, there's some good parts and some bad parts. First, the standard, the head moves back and forth, can also be tilted side to side a little bit and can also swivel all the way around. These pieces of the hair are soft plastic, so that will not get into the way of articulation. What I don't like about this one, and I feel like, I don't know if the last figure had this, or I feel like I've seen this one before, we do have a ball hinge with like a pack that goes into the chest. Does leave a lot of gaps, doesn't really look great. It looks a little bit better on this side because the pack has been like entered a little bit deeper. I've been moving around on this one and I couldn't really get it, maybe heating it up later, but still, overall, I don't know why they did that. You could kind of fill this up if you would like to have a butterfly joint, so you can also move it back and forth. As such, you just have the hinge that moves it up and down and can bring it forward like this. It's alright, I guess. And you do also have this pad on the shoulder, which is just connected via two pegs on the side, so you can move that up and down. Doesn't really free up a lot of articulation, but I guess it makes it look a lot cleaner. So I have like this little piece of plastic on the top over here, which I don't see on the other side.
Actually, it's supposed to hold it in place, but obviously doesn't really work right on one side.
But yeah, this could have been better. You have the big ball hinge in the elbow. Can tell that that's not really moving any further. It doesn't go side to side. You have like another ball hinge in the hand, so you can move that up and down. Is obviously blocked by the outfit. And then for the chest area, that one's actually quite nimble, and from what I can tell, I think like there's like a ball hinge that goes directly into another ball hinge, so you can bring it back and forth quite nicely. But side to side tilting, well, actually that still works. I thought that was blocked a little bit more. And since there's not a ball hinge on the lower half, you can shift it back and forth for some more poses. Now, unfortunately, it does leave some gaps, and I think the lower half is floaty because it is moving around, but they didn't leave enough room to pull it up to cover up all these holes in there. And you also like revealing some more detail on the side, which I didn't even see that beforehand. For the lower half, the hip part, you can swivel that around, and has a little bit of back and forth motion and also side to side tilting. And then the entire dress part is hard plastic, doesn't have anything to open up as such. The legs are really blocked. You can only move it back and forth just a little bit, out to the side just a little bit, but you can't swivel it on the ball that's in there. And then you have a simple ball hinge at the knee, and also almost forgot, I was talking about the ribbon earlier. That's like individual ball hinges on both sides, so you can bring that up for some battle poses, and you can bring it out. Let's see, the up and downward movement is quite nice, and also side to side. And as I mentioned also earlier, you have these ugly hinges on the lower half. I don't know, maybe like a small ball connection or something would have been better than the hinges. That stuff just doesn't look good, sorry. And down to the shoes, as you can tell, there is a ball hinge in there, a flat ball hinge. Camera would focus on there. So you can bring that backward, forward, and I haven't even checked the pivot, but there is a pivot, but it's not great. But you can also rotate the ball on the top half and on the lower half. So you can play around maybe a little bit like that, bring it to this side and then bring it up. So you do have a tilt on that side. So, you know, some good, some bad. Unfortunately, this one is also fairly light on accessories, just like the previous release. But let's look at the faces. We have like one kind of really bored, stoic, actually almost falling asleep face, and another one a little bit more determined on the left.
Hands are super standard. You have like open hands, holding hands, and a bunch of fist hands.
One of the cool gimmicks, cool features of the line is that you also get like a second waist part, so you can replace the dress. You can take that one off and have a more articulated version of the figure that obviously frees up a lot of things. And then we have the Figma base, which is standard. If you know Figma, you always get one of those. This piece you can take off if you don't like it, but you know, it helps for more articulation, more posing abilities, options, and whatnot. And then finally, you also have the Figma back and the star of the show, the big freaking staff. Well, it's not that big. It's like, let's see, Is it bigger than the previous one? Nah, I think it's pretty much the same. A little bit taller than the figure. But yeah, this piece is beautiful. Gorgeously done. I obviously love the molding on the top. You have like a little dagger, which seems like, and some molding ornaments. A little bit of plant, roses, and flowers going on. Kind of wrapping around this somewhat clock-looking thing. I'm not sure, there's also some tiny writing on it. And it does look different than the last one. I think then this one is a lot prettier than the previous release, especially due to all the flowers kind of growing around it on the lower half. And then the rest of it is just a black staff, and the tip over here is quite sharp. So be aware of that, but yeah, highlight of the accessories right here. Final thoughts! And this one's very simple. Stunning, beautiful design, excellent executed in terms of the mold. Paint's great. However, the downsides is mostly the articulation. As I was playing around with the figure, putting into some different poses, I've had issues with those weird, dumb shoulder joints just disconnecting and not really locking into place as I wanted to. And then finally also the accessories. Could have used a couple more hands, but you know, it's fine as it is, just could have been better. But at the end of the day, you're still getting a really cool looking figure, really unique design, execution is absolutely fine, and yeah, I do recommend this one. Obviously, if you're a fan of the design, if you're not getting that much like innovation in terms of articulation and whatnot, but you get some cool stuff as far as accessories go. But that's about it. That's gonna do it, guys. As usual, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget, if you enjoyed this review, hit it up with a like and subscribe to the channel so you can stay tuned for more figure reviews, card game stuff, and whatever NH-02 wants.